Our next guest is the Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, CAM, Tobias Alando. He's here because today, again, the 1st of October, hizo jeans mnatengenezea hapa Athi River. Sijui mnazita Levi's. Hizo njugu mmekuwa mkipeleka Amerika. Kahawa. Nini. If they land at the coast of the US today, east, west, or wherever, they'll be subjected to a tariff. Something they have not done over the last number of years under the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act, AGOA. It came to an end last night. So now it's tariff season. It was giving us quota-free, duty-free
yes,
access to the American market. For how many goods? Over 200?
Over 2,000 actually.
Over 2,000
products yes.
could enter America.
Yeah.
Quota-free, duty-free.
Yeah.
Tobias, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Janet is going to start off with the day's quote. You know the drill.
Simple one. Mahmoud Mamdani, a Ugandan scholar, once said, "When history is silenced, it returns as violence." What do you make of that?
When history is silenced,
it returns as violence.
As violence. It means, in my own perspective, we need not to ignore history, but we need to pick our lessons from what has happened in the past, because it'll either repeat itself in a better way or a negative way. Yes.
Yeah. We shouldn't avoid that history because it will come up as something else.
Correct.
You were just talking about the piece of legislation. It was approved in the year 2000 in May. And of course, the stated purpose of AGOA, assist economies of sub-Saharan Africa and to improve economic relations between the US and the region. My first thing is always shocks and jobs. Although, Eric, you want to go into something before I ask how many? What happens if the pact has now lapsed?
Yes.
How many Kenyan jobs are directly tied to AGOA?
So over 60,000 jobs directly, and indirectly another 100,000.
Another?
Yes, that we may lose if this extension does not happen.
Okay,
so that's the reality in the ground. As at yesterday, there were updates coming out from State House that there is a likelihood of a 1-year extension, and this 1-year extension is to allow for negotiation, bilateral negotiation between countries for a permanent extension. As it stands, for the last 25 years that we've enjoyed AGOA, the negotiation has been on a block basis, African countries all together.
Yeah.
But the way President Trump's administration has been viewing trade relations, it seems they are looking forward to have an engagement between nations rather than a bloc. So we are optimistic in the context that if they give this 1-year extension and then allow for countries to do bilateral, then we can have a negotiation between Kenya and the US. Because if you look at the trade balance between Kenya and the US, we are short of almost, US is at an advantage of about $75 million actually, $75 million. So if AGOA is not extended, then there will be trade imbalance between Kenya and the US. And no country would want to have a situation where we have trade imbalance.
Right.
That is why, from where I sit, we sort of have a higher hand in terms of negotiation. If you look at other countries which have a higher trade balance to the US, Kenya has a negative. So if AGOA ceases, then we will even go deeper into a negative.
It will be worse.
To be worse.
As of this morning, Tobias,
yes,
this 60,000 and another 100,000, how many companies do you know that have actually had to take cuts in preparation for the conclusion of the AGOA Act?
So in terms of documentation, because it is required by law for companies to report to the Ministry of Labor, indicating that we are going to cease employing certain number of people because of situation A, B, C, D. So as at yesterday, I'm only aware of one company so far that has made that indication. Because some of them, majority of them are still hopeful that we are going to get this extension. You have also to remember that orders happen early enough. So if I don't have an order now, then that means in the next 6 weeks or 3 weeks, there will be no jobs for the citizen. So probably the ones that have not given a notice,
they still have running orders.
They had running orders that needed to be shipped out, probably were shipped out.
Yeah. Okay. If a vessel lands today somewhere in America,
yes,
is it subjected to tariff?
It will be subjected to tariff, effective fast.
So some of those orders will actually be affected.
So probably they will definitely be affected. And the perception or the hope they have is that with the extension, those goods will land when we have the 1-year extension. So probably they will not pay duty.
So buy time before you
yes.
The extension.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So we've not had a formal communication, but there's a Reuters report that information coming from the White House is that we're going to have a 1-year extension to allow for negotiation between the U.S. and different African countries. Yes.
And you're optimistic?
I'm very optimistic.
Okay.
What is our Ministry of Trade saying?
So the ministry, if you've seen last week, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, the President himself, and the private sector led by KEPSA, KM, were all in the US pushing towards this negotiation. So there's been an effort, and we have to appreciate that there's been an effort done to ensure that this extension is done. What I have a challenge in terms of some of these things, we are a last minute people as a country. We knew about this almost many years back. So I think the push needed to have started early enough so that we don't wait for last minute, that a Kenyan habit where we push for things last minute.
But what was actually happening? Because like you're saying, we knew September 30th, 2025 didn't fall out of the sky. We knew AGOA is coming to an end. We knew it is coming to an end in 2025.
Correct.
As far back as even 5 years ago. So what was happening?
So
what was the industry doing?
Yes.
What was the government doing?
Yes. So you must understand, from the government side, there were conversations that were ongoing. From the private sector, government to government.
Okay.
Yes. From the private sector, we are also engaging lobbyists in the US. From both bipartisan lobbies, both Republican and Democrats, to try and push this agenda. So from our side, of course, there was work going on. But you all have to understand that geopolitics happened, tariffs that were not in the picture in the initial conversation. So that has also disrupted how the extension should have been done. And just to make you understand how the tariffs introduced affect the AGOA plan is because some of the raw materials that we use to produce the garments are sourced from China, are sourced from India. And you already know what is happening.
They've been slapped with
yes,
tariffs.
they've been slapped with the tariff. So that already has changed the game in terms of sourcing of raw materials for making the fabrics or the clothing that we export to the US.
Explain it to me like now. Like we are going to China to buy garments,
correct,
to bring to Kenya, to make goods, to send to America.
Yes.
How would a tariff imposed by America to China affect the purchase of material that comes to Kenya?
Okay, so understand it this way. When there is a trade, what I call a trade beef between US and other countries, they would expect that the countries that they are having trade with, for example, Kenya, should not source any of the materials coming from a country they already imposed tariff on their products.
Right.
So that is the situation. In my view also, probably the renewal or this extension of the renewal will have conditions. And the condition will be not source fabrics from these other countries. And that will make us develop, of course, our own value chain in terms of cotton, and so that we may be able to source the cotton and the raw materials from Africa.
Works better for us.
Which works better for us. And in fact, that is what we should have done in the last 25 years, honestly.
Yeah. I want to throw in a spanner in the works.
Yes.
In terms of manufacturers and workers and benefiting, sometimes some could argue it's seen as a low-cost labor base for the US, this whole pact. Maybe this is a chance to rethink in the event that the extension doesn't come through. Would it be such a bad thing?
Well, I'll answer your question by looking at the benefits. What have we gained in the last 25 years? One, you look at investment. The investment that has been done in the textile and apparel sector is about 30 billion investment. That's a huge investment that we can't just get away. Two, we've had capacity built in terms of technical capacity for people who are able to run those machines and make apparel. And the good thing is that 70% are women. And we've even had some of them shipped to Ethiopia to train the Ethiopians on how to make apparel. So that's the advantage that we are having, and that's a benefit that we cannot let just go like that. Third thing, of course, Forex. We've earned about $700 million in terms of Forex exchange annually, which is good for the country. So looking at all these benefits, yes, this has happened to us. If AGOA, for example, stops today, Kenya will have to look for options where we can export our goods. And there are options available. It may take time for them to pick up because we have our own EAC market, we have AFCFTA, the African market, and we have the EU market, so that we are able to export apparel products to some of these places. The difference is, if you look at the African market and look at the regional market, the buying power of the US market is bigger than the African market. So that already puts you in a position where you're saying we may not be able to do as much as we did while exporting to the US. The US market, one, is big, and two, they have the money. The buying power is...
Yeah, I'm only asking that because, you know, and this might be different. We saw what happened, for example, with the stop work order. Like I said, it's different. It was it stopped and USAID withdrew funding. But I'm almost seeing a pattern where we're going to have to be forced to rethink locally.
Correct.
Local manufacturing.
Correct.
Is it an opportunity to strengthen that?
Yes.
Again, in the event that a year goes in and there's lobbying and something happens and we say, listen, we're not renewing this. Is there also at the back of our minds, even though you've spoken really well to the benefits, but at the back of your minds, is there a part where you're saying, you know what, we might need to rethink this strategically and think about strengthening?
Yes, I agree with you. And we need to be intentional in terms of promoting our textile mills. So the textile mills are the ones that make now the clothing that we use to stitch and make the products. We need to promote our textile mills, invest, and also deal with this sensitive issue of buying second-hand clothing. Because every year, every annual budget proposal, we do send our objections and say, let's not remove duty from imports of second-hand, let's impose duty
on
mitumba, basically, because we are able to produce those items or those clothings to our local people. But because mitumba is a politicized issue, we end up not using that opportunity. But as the situation is today, I think we need to be intentional and say in the next 5-10 years, how do we ensure that every cloth that is worn in this country is locally produced? Simple.
We've had the conversation.
No, Tobias. 25 years.
Yes.
Where we've had a free access to a huge market. Okay? Let me ask you, in numbers, over 2,000 products that we could take there.
Yes.
A huge percentage of the products that we are taking, or the market that we've taken advantage of, by over 70% is apparel.
Yes.
How many apparel companies do we have that are doing this? Trade, Kenya, US?
Right now, there are over 20 companies.
20?
Yes.
In 25 years?
Yes.
How many of them are Kenyan developed? Kenyan owned, Kenyan started, Kenyan?
In terms, I don't know the shareholding structures, but most of the investment.
How many started in Kenya? Well, you can say that this was Tobias Alianza Kampuni.
Yes, they're less than 5.
All right.
Kenyan.
So majority.
Yeah, majority.
We did not develop ourselves.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
How many of these are actually sourcing local materials?
They are sourcing local materials, but they're not sourcing all the local materials.
Okay.
Because we cannot have all the local materials.
Okay.
That is the challenge. Yes.
Okay. How much of our local capacity to get our own local material have we done in the last 25 years?
There's huge improvement, but I would say that there's huge improvement in terms of the local milling capacity, but we have an opportunity to even increase it. But if you look at 20 years back and today, we have local millers that have grown and invested. Yes, so there's an improvement.
But they are milling not from locally sourced cotton.
Some are doing from locally sourced cotton.
Okay.
It's not enough, but they are doing from locally sourced cotton.
Point I'm trying to make is we've had 25 years where we could see the opportunity to develop ourselves.
Yes.
Where by now, it should not even be an issue of whether we should be imposing tariffs on mitumba.
Yeah.
It should be, I mean, we have so many clothes that are locally produced, and because Pamba ni umetoka pale Homa Bay, the Jinnery is in Homa Bay, Pamba is ours, the clothes are definitely going to be affordable.
Correct.
We are not there. We have wasted ourselves for 25 years. Another angle to say that we have wasted ourselves, 2,000 plus products, and a majority of these are the Levi's that are coming from America to come and to shonea hapa tuwapeleke. Our flowers, not so much.
Tea.
Our macadamia nuts, not so much.
Yeah.
Our coffee and tea, not so much. Our leather products, not so much. Baskets, carvings, not so much. 25 years.
Because then the shock, it will make you have to think about it. Because I think Eric is speaking to that over-reliance. And I think that's what happened. And yeah, the fact that we had 25 years to think it through, and now here we are, with the possibility that there may not be a renewal, which now means it's honing in on those opportunities.
And Janet, can I just add?
Yeah.
If there's no renewal, many of these companies will shut down. They are not Kenyan. It is companies, people that came to invest in this country. They will fold up, they will leave. We will be left with kiwanja yetu pale at the river and Mombasa, nothing. Surely.
I personally...
We should be paraded in Uhuru Park.
There are a lot of issues. I know you've raised very valid points, but there are a lot of issues that attribute to that. If you look at... Because now the focus is not only Kenya. Look at all the African countries that have benefited through AGOA. The question is, have they developed their value chain in terms of cotton? Maybe you'll find 1 or 2 countries have done that. So it's an issue that Africa also needs to reflect as a nation or as a continent and say, yes, there was this benefit. What have we done wrong? And probably the situation, the geopolitics that is happening is making us also look back and reflect. And we, from the private sector, need to also work with government and say there is what we need to do. Let's build our cotton value chain because Asia did it.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
China has done it.
Yep.
So Africa also can do it as a continent and say we were going to source the raw material from our African partners. It's an opportunity for reflection. I do not deny that there is issues we could have done better as a nation in terms of the 25 years. But I also look at the opportunities and the benefits that we cannot just waste away and say, okay, we didn't do this. So what next? There needs to be a point of reflection and say, this now is what we need to do.
Are we doing that?
Yes, we are doing that. Very soon, we are doing a cotton conference just to speak about the value chain. We need to promote our farmers. We need to have this conversation because no one nowadays grows cotton because hakuna market. Nobody will buy it. But if there are conditions that are put, and I'm glad these conditions are coming in the way they are coming, then we need to wake up. We need to smell the coffee and do what we need to do.
Smell
as
the
a country.
coffee on coffee day. I had to throw that in there. Somebody has raised ACTA, and I was actually going to say the African Continental Free Trade as a fallback.
Yes.
Bakari Sagna, if a AGOA agreement isn't renewed, is there an alternative plan for Kenya and other African countries? Are there updates on AFTA?
So AFTA is a huge opportunity, but what we need to point out is there are other challenges, infrastructural challenges. I'll tell you, for example, one company in Kenya here has an opportunity to export certain goods to French West Africa. But believe you me, they have to go to France, and then from France, you export back to Africa. So there are infrastructural challenges within that's the reality. Gosh. There are infrastructural challenges that we need to address in order for us to be able to trade easily. You can say, yes, I want to move my goods to Ghana. How will it get to Ghana? We don't have, or we don't own the shipping lines. Who owns most of the shipping lines? Europeans.
Yeah.
Wow.
They control the routes. Yeah. They control the movements of cargo. Yeah. They're not responsible, or they're not ready to support us in a way that we are able to meet these routes. So sometimes you have to go all the way South Africa, Amsterdam, come back to access an African continent. If you put the African map on the table today, to access one country up there, we don't have a railway system that links. And that's why the AU Infrastructure Committee is discussing about the railway link between the African continent. If you look at even air transport, it is so expensive to move from one African country to another African country. These are issues that we need to address. If you look at the money transfer, and I'm glad the central bank governor indicated that there is a meeting between the central bank governors to create money transfer or payment platforms, gateways for Africa. Right now, we can't.
Send money to Ghana, it has to go first to Europe.
You trade in dollars.
Trade in dollars.
Yes. So Africa Continental Free Trade Area is a reality, is an opportunity, but we need to address logistics, we need to address money transfer and exchange issues.
Tobias, do we sometimes use these reasons, valid as they are, as excuses not to do it?
No.
As in, can we do it the way it is as we figure it out?
Very true.
Must we first develop infrastructure before we start intra-Africa trade, or before we develop intra-Africa trade? Because it sounds like, that it comes as develop infrastructure, then we can trade with our friends in our neighbors in Cameroon.
I gave you one simple example where a Kenyan company is exporting products to the French West Africa. And they're doing this through France. So
by air
we are
or
not,
by ship?
By air. By ship will take you ages. So by air.
What would it take for that to change?
I was going to ask, because it sounds so huge.
Because we have an open skies, we've been trying to get into an open skies policy within Africa and all those things. I mean, what does it take? Is it not just signatures?
You're right. It just takes signatures and agreeing that we are allowing our movement. Of course, you know, Africa also, we are also facing wars. So some air spaces are closed. So you have to go round and round. Africa, we have problems.
How many airspaces are closed in Africa, Bwana? You can just
count
Sudan, you can circumvent Sudan, you can circumvent some bit of Somalia and some bit of Libya.
In West Africa, there are fights all over.
You still think those are not valid?
No, they are valid.
Yeah,
but they're, you know, in fact, they are on the edges. If you look at the Sahel West Africa, it's, you know, Uko North. If you look at the ones where they're fighting, the French West Africa, they are on the extreme west. We are the Horn in the middle. Why aren't we trading?
But we are trading. Look at what we are doing in the EAC, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi.
Within COMESA as well.
We are in COMESA, yes. But within our local region, we are trading. People are exporting goods to the region. So it's really happening. And by the way, the businessman or the businesswoman in this country doesn't need government to do everything. Yes, they just need an opportunity and an agreement signed. They will take their goods to where opportunity is. And people have been doing that.
They have.
Yes.
I just think at scale, to Eric's point, is where there's an issue. Bakari Sagna comes back and says, while West Africa celebrates its vibrant local fashion, East Africa often prioritizes Western or Asian attire. Should we rethink this for the sake of cultural identity?
I agree with him 100%. If you look at AGOA, by the way, what has changed in terms of AGOA, the fashion industry in Kenya, in terms of the design, previously where they used to get them out there, the fashion industry in Kenya has grown and some of the designs are made now locally. So that's what has changed in terms of the AGOA, and we need to tap into that opportunity in terms of our design, merchandising, the logistics and everything that has also developed. So if AGOA ends, then with all these skills and opportunity, we need to look for other markets.
The direct trade talks between Kenya and America. They started in Trump 1, and Biden came and said, I don't recognize that, let's do our own. It didn't conclude in Biden. Now again, we're in Trump. Is that a future for us? Because let's just assume that the information that is coming out of the White House could be right, that it's an extension, a one-year extension,
to allow,
and then it comes in for negotiation and all. Then should we pursue direct trade talks between Kenya and a pact between Kenya and the USA?
So just to give you a background, AGOA for 25 years, it has been renewed almost, 3 or 4 times. So we've been in this situation before. And the other factor that you need to consider is there are different administrations with different priorities. Democrats view it differently from the Republicans. So for the Republicans, they are mostly focused on a strategic investment partnership. And that is what we are pushing. And what I'm seeing is that we are going to have sort of a bilateral direct engagement with the US government, which has been ongoing, and say, okay, we are giving you this and you're giving us this. Of course, some of the agreements are never disclosed because of the geopolitics and the sensitivities, because security issues are also involved.
Yeah.
Kenya remains very strategic for the U.S. in terms of the regional security, and that could be one of the stick that the government of Kenya uses and say, yes, we remain your partner, but give an opportunity for us to continue trading with you in this aspect of AGOA.
Yeah, and even leverage to negotiate better.
Exactly.
Absolutely, because I think a lot of the time you're a price taker.
Yes.
You're like, well, take what comes. And is that maybe what we talked about, the multilateral, what was it, the double standards?
Yep.
Because, yeah, we should be able to also...
We should.
Do we negotiate well?
Good question. What does negotiating well mean?
Like as you said, I mean, you go there knowing your leverage and knowing your value and going with a figure, knowing that I'd like to extract this as the bare minimum. Or do we just go there with like, market?
Yeah, then you become a price taker. Like anything goes.
And I've met the trade teams in government, and they're well competent people, and they've done a great job in terms of negotiation. And what we've received so far has been better. Remember, we are having a conversation with a bigger brother. Okay, so when you're having a conversation with a bigger brother, there's what you can get. There's a level you can reach. That's a reality, Eric. That's the reality.
This is your level.
This is your level. It's not like India negotiating with the US or China negotiating with the US. It's different. It's Kenya negotiating with the US. So there are things that we can say on this one, give us, on this one we can give you. And the geopolitics factor has also given us an advantage, because there's always that fear that you will turn to their...
You'll turn west.
You'll turn west, yes.
Or east.
So, or east, or wherever direction you turn. So they want to keep Kenya as a partner, but Kenya now should use that leverage and say, push for what will benefit the citizen. I'll not be comfortable in terms of the loss of about 700 million forex, the loss of 60 or 160 or 200,000 jobs. I will not be comfortable where I am, or the loss of 30 billion investment. That should not just go that way. Yes.
I'm picturing the time when Donald Trump recently sat with 5 African heads of state. And I think the internalizing of they're the big brother really came out. And it was unsettling for many people, because it was purely we've come, give us. And I don't know, other than being able to strengthen our own capacity, I don't know how else we can change that, and I don't think it's sustainable in terms of benefiting. Again, I hear everything you've said in terms of the jobs that have been lost, the industries that have been affected, but I think we're at this point where there has to be some very serious understanding of what we bring to the table, even as daunting as it seems. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we've got to build our own muscle. So you're dealing with a big guy, big muscular guy. Go to the gym.
Good, that's good.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're saying. In these 25 years, we were as skinny then as we are today. I mean,
you're not over that.
And you're coming in to come and say, I want to punch you. Punch what? Punch what? Because I agree, this is a bigger power, it's a bigger market,
correct.
It's a bigger economy, and there's the way you're going to deal. Donald Trump is proving that to the world. I mean, he's poking everybody in their face and showing them, I'm bigger.
Yeah.
He has summoned them, come, you Europeans come together. Remember that day? It was Europeans that summoned. European presidents trooped to the White House together. Karibu ingia na bus moja. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk to new Asian countries. Let's talk to even India. Here and Modi are sending each other, love messages on X. Yeah, I really look forward to thank you for your birthday message. I really look forward to our conversation. I'm looking forward to. I mean, they're doing that. How do we, as Africa, and goes back into your quote was it yesterday? How do we
move from sympathy to partnership?
To partnership.
Yeah.
We can move there by, first of all, strengthening our own leverage. And like all those things that you're saying, Tobias, we consciously develop ourselves as a market, consciously develop ourselves as, you know what, I have muscle. I am producing. I have the raw material, I'm converting this raw material into finished product, and I can sell it to you. You cannot get it anywhere else because I am the only one with the raw material. If you don't buy it, it's okay.
Somebody else will.
Somebody will.
I have a huge market with it. I have 1 billion people in Africa who will buy. Oh, no, I can actually go to 1.5 billion in India. Oh, I am talking to the other 1 billion people in China. You guys are how many? 500 million. You're small. Simzane kidogo. We negotiate. You know?
Yeah, building the muscle. We could. That's the going to the gym. Beyond what you talked about, second-hand clothes, when you think about your vision for a really competitive manufacturing sector in Kenya, 5 to 10 years from now, what does it look like?
One, we have to understand that the manufacturing sector in Kenya has a huge opportunity. We've not reached the level that we should be. At 7.5 or 7.4 GDP contribution, that is very low. Very, very low. Looking at Morocco, looking at Tunisia, looking at Algeria, they have grown. And they have been intentional in terms of the growth and the policy. So Kenya has a huge opportunity. We are the big player in terms of the manufacturing sector in the region, but we need not to sleep and so that our neighbors overtake us. We need to promote more investment in the manufacturing sector. We need to buy more locally produced products. We need to be more innovative and produce even other related products that can be that we are regularly sourcing or importing. We need to stop importing what can be produced here, and this is a conversation that we push for our citizens who are also happy to import almost everything. We recently had a conversation, especially on apparel, just giving an example of apparel, where someone saw a clothing item and he couldn't believe that this is made here in Kenya. And many people don't know. Look at Mercedes-Benz filters. Do you know they're made here in Kenya and exported to the UK? People don't know. There's a law that is really happening here.
Communication
in this country,
again.
But people don't know there's a law that is working here. The printing packages, the best printing packages are done in Kenya and exported. So everything that we see China is able to do, though they do it in mass, so we can't match that, but we can be able to do it here. So I see opportunity for the growth of the manufacturing sector in the 5 years if the government also addresses some of the challenges that we have been raising in terms of predictability of the policy and tax environment. Kenya is the only country that every year we sit to address what finance bill. This should stop. Let's do this thing once and review it the next 5 years. It will create a stability in terms of investment. But every time when we see parliamentarians want also to review our budget and all that, it's going backwards.
You know, yesterday we were having a conversation with an industrialist.
Yes.
They're in business, and her name is Lena Nyaga. She is from Atlantis Life Science.
Yes.
They do vet pharmaceuticals, public health, manenos, dawa ya mende, and so on and so forth. Doing locally, started by importing, and they're trying to develop their capacity to develop locally.
Correct.
Now, we have very many such people who have ideas they'd like to develop, whether they're doing feeds, whether they're doing pharmaceuticals, whether they're doing whatever they're doing. How much effort is put by government and by CAM, for example, in just pushing for the support that these micro enterprises need to go to small enterprises, to get to medium to large enterprise, to develop that, our local manufacturing industry?
Yeah. So for the first protection that such a local small businesses will have when they come to have an engagement with us and then we engage the government is duty protection. So if I'm making an item that I used to import, What I need to demonstrate is that I'm having the capacity to produce based on the need of the country. Then I approach the Ministry of Trade and Investment and Industry, and I approach the National Treasury and say impose duties for all the imports, because now we can produce.
Because there's capacity locally.
Yes, there is capacity locally. And that has been happening in different sectors. It's probably people who do not know what to do. And we need to tell them that if you're producing an item that you used to import, we push for a policy towards imposing duty for this product so that you make it locally. When you make it locally, you are not only employing Kenyans, but you're also paying local taxes rather than creating employment abroad. Yes.
So, because I mean, we struggle to look at small businesses rising to become medium-sized businesses, to become large businesses, especially in the manufacturing sector.
Yes.
Because like you said, that is how we are going to be able to grow the contribution of manufacturing in our GDP by supporting those local ones.
Yes.
Instead of only focusing on, you big money come, we're going to give you land, we're going to give you this manufacturing in this country. Is there a focus in government from where you sit at CAM to see that being developed?
Yes. Yes, they're what we call county aggregated parks,
industrial parks
that have been established in almost a few counties that I know of. That is a huge opportunity. What now we need to next step is, because that's infrastructure. The next level is now you need to get guys set up
into those areas,
and then get the government agencies to support them in terms of compliance. The KIRDI, the KEBS of this world, KRA, so that they are comfortable and then they comply and then they start producing. The next step is now markets, because local markets is not enough in terms of the growth of the manufacturing sector. We need to expand and get additional markets, the regional, the ESC market and the AFCFT and the European market. And then we support them towards exporting to those markets.
How did China do it in the 80s?
China, like you say, the aggregations, small enterprises, small businesses. China started by copying. If you read that history well, they started by copying. They would buy stuff from UK,
this
US,
cucumber they make like it,
and copy it.
Yes.
So they started by copying, and then within time they perfected it.
Yeah.
And the government allowed them. You just do it. The more mistakes you make, the better it becomes.
You learn.
Same to India. India also did the same. Just replicate. Okay, we can make this for our local market. And they were supported in terms of make it. The government supported them in terms of buying those local items. And they have grown because they started by copying.
Yeah. Beyond the perceptions and the different opportunities that exist, and I don't know if you've spoken to it, is there a specific policy bottleneck that exists also that just makes it difficult for manufacturing to move and scale in Kenya?
One major concern is the number of regulators. We have too many regulators. I'll tell you just, for example, that in the manufacturing sector, we did our estimate, we have about 95 regulators. Now that's the regulators. I've not talked about the licenses that these regulators charge. So we have over 95 regulators regulating all the manufacturing sector. And then we have the licenses. The licenses that we have the national licenses and then the county licenses. So we have a total of 450 licenses for you to operate generally as all the manufacturing sectors. So we have 14 sectors. And 200 of those licenses are from county government.
Where?
County governments. Then the other, about 250, is from the national government agencies. So if you see the space of regulation, there is already a challenge. And I have raised this, and I'm optimistic that it's going to be addressed. I raised this in a session head by the head of public service, and I saw the commitment to do a regulatory audit and say, how can we address this?
Yeah.
So there are regulators, then there are licenses, then there are fees paid. So if you take one sector, for example, pharmaceutical sector, that has a total, if I estimate about a total of 54 regulators, and then the annual fee for anyone doing pharmaceutical you should be paying about, in total of all those regulators, about 1.5 million. That's one sector.
One sector.
That's just one sector. Now imagine this other 14 sector. So we need to address this issue about regulation because it inhibits our competitiveness. The costs and just the burden, too much burden.
And bureaucratic.
And
I'm sure a lot of them overlap. There's some of them that could either be done away with or merged into one. You know, it's just only because I'm in this country, but I realize how difficult it is to get things moving. There's a time I was actually trying to get products. Okay, this one is different. I was importing them, but just going through that process, and this is something that was needed by a section of people. I think it took us 7 months and we still barely made any headway.
Wow.
Yeah. 7 months to be told, just like he's saying, go to this one. To get approvals.
For importation.
Yes. So it's cumbersome.
It is.
And I think that can really stifle the sector. So yeah, I can see how that needs to be done away with.
Yeah. So it is. So we've raised this, and I'm seeing an urge to do a regulatory audit. I'm hopeful if really that is done, and then we say some of these regulators, we don't need them, some of them can be merged into one, then you'll see the ease of doing business promoted in this country. Okay.
That's why we'll end it for now. Oh, yeah.
This talk of making Kenya more business friendly, conducive, has been there for those
really long time.
We've talked about, right? We have seen one of the current senior advisors to the president is a former minister for trade who was dealing with those issues that you're talking about today. A previous minister for trade was a former CEO of CAM. Sitting here, goes in there and finds just bottlenecks in the bureaucracy of government.
Yeah. It's hard to say what the fix is, but we have to keep these conversations going. We'll continue to hear about the renewal. You'll keep us posted. But it's been Tobias Alando, CEO of Kenya Association of Manufacturers. What next after the expiry of the AGOA Pact? Thank you to all of you who've tuned in for our conversations today. Is it Mwikali alone today, Felo, who is hosting your world? Winnie Lubembe is hosting alone. Feel it to fight it, the power of early detection, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. When we started this show today, we said October is a month of many things. One of them is breast cancer awareness. So listen into that conversation, a very critical one. Eric Latif, Janet Bogwa, Mariam Bisha, on Fixing the Nation, one conversation at a time. Thank you for staying with us. Your World is next on NTV. Vibe Shift is next on Nation FM with Brian Aseli and Claudia Naisabwa. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 6 a.m.